Howdy, howdy. Welcome to my channel, The Stone Mandalorian. I'm The Stone Mando, or you can call me Cody. Whichever you prefer, doesn't matter to me. I appreciate you checking out the review today. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at Hera Syndulla from the Black series, and this is from the Rebels subline. And this is actually a reissue. I forget when this figure first came out. I believe in the 2016-2017 time frame. This is a reissue that came out in 2021. They introduced the photo reel. And this is just an awesome character. I really enjoyed watching Rebels. I did end up watching this later on in my adult life, unlike the Clone Wars, which I grew up watching in 2008 off Cartoon Network. I feel like some people were backwards with that. Anyways, get back to the figure at hand. I just really loved Hera's character. She's kind of like the mom of the group. She's just a very badass, independent, strong female character. And honestly, Twi'leks are one of the coolest species in Star Wars. It's just a very iconic, essential OT alien. And I really feel like Dave Filoni carried the torch very well with Rebels and kind of kept that old school Star Wars feeling alive through Rebels, just it being during the time of the Empire's reign and stuff like that. But this figure was starting to get kind of priced on the aftermarket up there at $70, $80 a pop. So I am just so happy and elated to finally have this in my collection. She looks beautiful. I love the purple on the box. I really need Sabine and Kanan to finish off the Spectre crew, also the younger version of Ezra, but I don't want to waste any more time, so let's take a look at the paint, sculpting, and articulation. And here's Hera out of the box, looking beautiful as ever, and I'm so elated to finally have her in my collection. She's definitely one of those figures that were getting a little pricey there on the aftermarket, reaching about $70, $80, if not more. This is definitely a somewhat dated figure. I believe it came out in 21, maybe. I'm kind of blanking right now, but you can see the pins in her knees, and the elbows are... Articulation is not bad, but it's not great. There is no butterfly joints, so it's definitely missing out on some the modern sweetness of the modern articulation that we get nowadays. But just from an aesthetic standpoint, dude, she looks absolutely beautiful. I love the green color for her skin tone. I love the brown and the orange, kind of like that earthy brown just goes well with the orange. I also like her, it's kind of like jumpsuit overlay, suspender type thing. I like how that is too. Looks great. She's also got some paint on her weapon. I believe it's like some kind of type of blurg model. But very cool looking figure. Super happy to finally have her and get her scooted into my Rebel section of my shelf. I still need Sabine and Kanan and the younger version of Ezra, but this is a great way to start. And I'm really enjoying this figure. I think first off we'll start with articulation, and you can see with these arms she doesn't have any butterfly joints, as you can see, just a arm that goes 360 degrees. But these shoulder pads are not the O-ring type, as you can see. They're just glued onto the shoulder. So, but no big deal. Like I said, this is somewhat of an older figure, but even though you can still kind of get this shoulder pad to go over her shoulder like that, so you can still get a pretty decent T-pose out of her. No issue there. Obviously, you just don't want to leave her like that long because this will warp your shoulder pads and it'll just make it look funky, and you don't want that. Like I said, the arm's spinning 360 degrees around. She's got some a little bit, not bad elbows, so get to a 90-degree angle right here. Vertical hinge here on the right hand and a horizontal hinge. No, I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. Horizontal hinge here on the right hand and a vertical hinge here on the left. And then getting down to the legs, she can do a full split. No problem. Slight little bit of kickback. She can kick out in front of her about so. Double pinned knee joints, as you can see here, so she can get her calf to her hamstring just about. It does kind of bunch up with the sculpt with the pants right here, as you can see. Feet go down about that far. They come up that far. And, of course, we have rockers as well. So this is not a bad articulated figure. Most of the time with like female characters or just more petite looking characters, articulation's pretty good because they can just fit in these extra these hinges and joints and stuff like that. Oh, there's also thigh swivel. I forgot to point that out. So, like I said, this being an older figure, it doesn't have terrible articulation. It's just, it could definitely be better. I also forgot to mention the swivel at the elbow. Getting down to her head, there's not a whole lot of tilt back and forth. Ultimately none. She can look down a little bit. This is about as, not really. Her leg cue just hits into her back, so that keeps her from looking up far. This is a stiffer plastic. It's not as malleable. but she can. That's about as much range you're gonna get out of the head. But as far as sculpting goes, this is just a beautiful figure. The eyes are very well done on her. I love the goggles. The goggles are great as well. So cool. Even there's some transparency there. That's pretty sweet. The lips and the eyes look great. Got a little bit of sculpting detail here. I love this color brown and the orange. I like the earthy tones mixed with this orange. Some really nice ruffles and folds. And I'll show y'all her blaster here in a second. You can see I like her boot holster. That's pretty cool. Here's those pinned legs. And her leg crew is also very beautifully done too. Very nice gray design done on there. Very clean paint on her cap here. No bleeds or misses or anything like that. Also some nice sculpting and texture here on the back. A little bit of silver paint right there. She's got a trigger finger here on her right hand, and then just a regular C-clasp grasp on her right hand, and then a trigger finger on her left. I'll show y'all the blaster real quick. This is what I was telling y'all about having some paint on here. We don't get this much in the Black Series anymore. It's got some nice silver and gold paint. And I believe this is like, this blaster pistol is called a blurg. Blurg something, I forget. You can actually equip the officer class in Battlefront 2 2017 with a blurg pistol. So that's very nice. I love, love, love this gold and silver on here. That's very nice. And it fits pretty well into her. It fits okay into her hands, but I like it just like this right there on her boot holster. But she looks great, man. Like I said, I'm really happy to have Hera in my collection. This is a figure that was really spiking up there. She's kind of like the mom of the group, and I just really love the dynamic that her and Kanan have. It just kind of brings a more real-world grown element into Rebels, because it was a very kids-based show at first. You could tell that in the first season, but as it progresses, it starts to get a little darker, a little more real. But this figure is beautiful. Like I said, I love the color scheme, the orange and the browns and the green. This color green for her skin tone is just beautiful. Photoreal really did this. I almost said Photoreal did this figure a lot of justice, but honestly, this is one of the few figures that the pre-Photoreal didn't look all that terrible. Obviously, the Photoreal looks more real, but when you see the non-Photoreal before then, I believe it was released 2017 or 2016, it is really not that bad. This was a reissue. I should have mentioned that earlier in the review, but there's definitely some that you see before the Photoreal and you're like, ooh, that's a little rough looking, but this is a really beautifully done figure. I'm going to kind of simplify this part of my video where I do the side-by-side comparisons. I usually do like a slideshow from one figure to the next, but I just really love how these figures look together, man. I really need Kanan and Sabine. This would make this like little squad look even cooler. But like I said, it just looks really nice to have them all together. It's a very completing feeling, if that makes sense. And I just have a feeling once I have Kanan and Sabine on the shelf, it's just going to be one of my favorite parts of my display. I love them. These scale so well, in my opinion. Ahsoka is roughly taller, about the same height as Hera, as well as Ezra and Maul, and then you see how Zeb is pretty much towering. I got Chopper here. These just look fantastic together, man, and I love having the Spectres together. All the figures, they just have like the design of their costumes, that kind of orange look with the earthy tones, just is kind of like their signature Spectre look. So I really want, the only one that really doesn't have any kind of orange on him is Kanan. He's just kind of like mainly like the olive drab green or whatever. But these look absolutely fantastic, and I freaking love that I finally have Hera. Really looking forward to getting Sabine and Kanan in my collection. Well, y'all, that's pretty much the end of this review. That's all I can say about Hera. Just like I said already in this review, I'm super elated to finally have her. I'm really psyched to start building the Spectre crew. And just a very good-looking figure. May not have the most modern articulation, and there's some things that can make it better, but it's so aesthetically pleasing, man. The color green for her skin tone is just beautiful. The photoreal looks great. I love the costume design, the color scheme of it. Just a very, very cool looking figure, man. And I was also a huge fan of Rebels, and I really, still to this day, enjoy to watch it. But I appreciate you all tuning into this video. Leave me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. May the Force be with you.